Mammoth Cave National Park is famous for, well, it's famous for its caves, but there's great trails on the surface so you can explore the park's different forest ecosystems. That's right, most of the time ecosystems are different because they experience a different climate, average temperature, precipitation, seasonality. But not these forests. They're unique because of their soils. Typically, soil is about half dead organic material and air. The other half is sediment that's broken down from the parent bedrock. Soil texture, the minerals and nutrients in the soil can really depend on what type of bedrock there is. Plants know this and have adapted to prefer different types of soils. Come on, let's go for a hike and check out some of the forests here at Mammoth Cave. Welcome to the savannah. Now, I know this probably isn't the savannah you were imagining with zebras and lions and Pride Rock and all that, but this is technically a savanna, more specifically an oak hickory savanna, so named after the oak and hickory trees that dominate this habitat. This forest can be found at the highest elevations in Mammoth Cave National Park. Oak trees are pretty easy to identify. They're really big trees with that classic lobed leaf. And of course there'll be tons of acorns on the ground. Hickory trees have this really cool shaggy bark. These trees provide habitat as well as an important food source from their nuts for black bears, foxes, mice, chipmunks, squirrels, rabbits, and birds. They both can grow over 100 feet tall, can live to be over 200 years old, and are really great at hugs. So, why are these trees here? Because the underlying bedrock is sandstone, which makes the soil, you guessed it, pretty darn sandy. Sandy soils don't retain a lot of water because they have high porosity. There's a lot of pores or open space between the soil particles. When it rains, the water kind of drains through the soil down into the creek and riverbeds. The oaks and hickories don't mind this because their roots go deep enough into the ground they can access the groundwater even after periods of drought. This gives them a competitive advantage over other plants or trees that might try to move in. So, we've hiked downhill closer to the banks of the Green River, and wouldn't you know it, we got ourselves a new habitat, the floodplain forest. The soil here is much wetter, and there's a couple reasons for that. First, we're at a lower elevation. When it rains, the water runs downhill all the way down here to the riverbank. In fact, so much water reaches the Green River that it regularly floods its banks. We're also in a bit of a gully and there's less direct sunlight, so the water that makes it down here doesn't evaporate as quickly. And finally, the bedrock underfoot is limestone, which makes for less porous soil than the sandy savannas we just visited. All these factors make the soil here very wet and very acidic, since all that moisture causes the organic material to break down quicker. So, what likes to live down here? Well, for starters, that tall drink of water, my friend the sycamore tree. Sycamores have this kind of papery bark and their leaves have 3 lobes. These forests are also dominated by maple trees. Maples are pretty easy to identify. They've got the famous toothed maple leaf and those fun little helicopter seeds. Both trees provide homes and food for a variety of species in the park. It's pretty crazy to think that rocks several meters below our feet can impact what trees grow and thrive in a forest. But it's not just the trees, it's the animals and birds and insects and reptiles that rely on those trees to survive. And it's determined by what's in the soil and the parent rock that is weathered to create that soil. Pretty cool. What about in the ecosystems near you? How have plants and animals adapted to their environment? Well, the best way to find out is to go outside and start exploring for yourself. In fact, one of my favorite reasons to get out to the forest is to remember that in a world of smartphones and streaming TV, that We're still part of the natural world. So go outside, take a hike, bring a friend, go touch the grass, as you kids would say. You'll love it. You'll get some exercise, you'll feel better, and you'll learn about the world around you. Want to learn more about our national parks? Then hit that subscribe button, friend. Stay up to date and catch bonus features by following us on Instagram @OutSCIder.